All right, guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how we delivered for a client at Zangflow, which is my AI automation agency. I'm going to walk you through our entire process from how we got the lead, how we got them on a sales call, what took place on the sales call, how we onboarded them, and then how we built and delivered the actual system that solved the problems that they were having. This is the exact flow that we use at my agency to land, scope, and deliver every project for all of our clients. Hey guys, I just want to take a quick second here and just let you guys know that me and my business partner Carlo, we just launched our free Skool community. Yes, completely free. I won't take too much time on this, but we're just super excited to finally have this off the ground. It's not perfect yet. We're still building a lot of the stuff out, like the classroom modules and stuff like that, but it is still a free community for people in this space to just join and collaborate with each other, bounce ideas off each other, help each other, and just for anyone who wants to learn AI automation or just have opportunities put in front of them. That's all this is. We're not trying to be these like gurus or whatever, sell a course. All this is we're just trying to build a mosh pit of people from all parts of the world that just want to learn AI, group together, and just succeed in this space. So I'll leave a link in my description to our free Skool community. Once again, the AI Automation Lab, and we hope to see you in there. Okay, so part one is the setup and the discovery call. How we got this lead. So there's two types of leads. There's inbound leads and then there's outbound leads. Now, the difference between the two is exactly in their name. Outbound is basically you reaching out to them. So think of like cold emails, LinkedIn, Instagram DMs, Facebook group posts, things like that are classified as outbound leads. An inbound lead is they reach out to you. They're asking you. They come into your DMs and ask you for something. So let's say they saw your content, they saw a video like that I post, they got referred, word of mouth, things like that are classified as inbound leads. This project for this client was an inbound lead. A photography business owner saw one of my videos and wanted to know how they can incorporate AI into their current business and workflows. After some chatting back and forth, learning more about their business, the number one goal that my agency strives for is getting them on what we call is a discovery call. Now, what is a discovery call? Well, it's the blueprint. The goal of a discovery call, and the reason why we call it a discovery call, some might call it a sales call, we call it a discovery call because all we're trying to do is be a consultant. We are trying to learn and unveil pain points that we can solve with our services. The goal, like right here, says uncover these pain points, their bottlenecks, and ultimately their goals, the results that they're trying to reach by them reaching out to you asking, hey, what can I do with your services, your AI? So the goal is not to sell features, not to sell the tech. You're not selling APIs, webhooks, all this fancy tech, JavaScript. You're selling the connection to their problems, okay? You are the solution. You are their direct path to their results they are trying to reach in their business. So the end goal of this discovery call and the only end goal is just to see if there is a fit, if there is a common ground. And then that's when you move on to the scoping and the onboarding. So for this call, all we did was just build rapport and we wanted to just see what pain points they're having and then think of ways that we can solve their problems. So the framework at my agency that we use for every single one of our discovery calls is this. The beginning is just building that rapport, making some sort of fast connection, right? Because then you start to get comfortable with each other and that is all that matters for the beginning of the sales call. So, the framework that my agency uses for every single one of our discovery calls is we need to build rapport right off the bat. The reason we do this is we need to make them feel comfortable with us. They are approaching us, they are approaching an uncomfortable space, something that they are not very familiar with. And our job is just to make them feel like, hey, this is a safe place for you to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about within your business. And we also do it by asking, some open end questions and like, hey, what slows you down right now? What takes up the most time in your business? What is one thing that you feel like is losing you the most money? Or what is holding you back from reaching this goal that you are saying you want to reach? That causes them to speak their problems and speak their goals. And once they are saying it themselves, it makes them realize more, hey, I do have a lot of things holding me back from reaching the goal or the milestone that I want to get to in my business. In the main, I will say this, the absolute main thing for this discovery call is a listener. You need to be a listener. You need to listen for every single pain point that they list. Because in sales 101 is the customer or the client or the prospect wants to feel heard. They want to feel like what they're is unloading off their chest to you is being heard, and that you are sitting there and you're being a listener to their problems, and you're thinking of ways to help them. You are the one that is getting them to their goals. And when you get their pain points, you can write them down. Or in my agency, we use something called Fireflies AI. It joins the call with us, and it's an AI note taker that is programmed or specifically prompted to listen for these pain points. As a consultant, your job is to start to position these solutions, these automation systems, as the fix. So as they are listing their pain points to you and their goals that they want to reach, you are supposed to already be spinning up systems and solutions in your head on the fly to be able to start to, yeah, oh, I can do that. Or, oh, okay, so you're having a hard time with responding to clients in a timely manner. Easy. We actually just built a system like that for our business. We call it the speed to lead. Let me show you how it works, or let me just demonstrate how it works real quick. Just being able to on the fly, it makes you really seem like you're the subject matter expert. And then lastly, we're just confirming if there's a fit. We need to make sure that there's a connection, because not every single person that approaches you for AI is going to be a good fit for your agency. Okay, so after we confirm that it's a good fit, that's when we move on to the next steps, which is the scoping the project and delivering the project. So, some very, very short spark notes from our discovery call with this client were this. So, they were a photography client, they owned a photography business, and the main pain points that she listed on the call were having slow manual response times to new inquiries from her website. She had a very well put together website, a contact form. Once it was filled out, it would send her an email saying, hey, you got a new inquiry. But she was having a hard time responding to them within that 5 minute window that is required in today's world. She struggled keeping track of bookings from multiple platforms. So not only was she getting inbound leads from her inquiries, she also was getting inbound leads from, let's say, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, things like that, people DMing and asking for photo shoots. Another pain point she listed was people forgetting their final payment. So the way she did business was the first 50% of the balance, or the cost of the session was due upon contract signing, and then the last 50% was due no later than 24 hours prior to the session. Clients were forgetting to pay. It was just a mess. So she wants a way to be able to let them know, hey, your final payment is due now, blah, 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 blah. She also was having a very hard time tracking delivery deadlines. So she has multiple session types. She does weddings, she does couple sessions, and each of the photos have a different turnaround time. So one might have a 3 week due date for when she's supposed to send out their photos fully edited, and one might have a 12 week. She wanted something that would let her know, hey, this system for this person is due in 1 week. Okay, now you have 24 hours until the system is due, just so she can keep track on things and know where she's at in her business. And then last thing, she voiced to us that she isn't very tech savvy, is very, very new to the AI space. So she wanted something that's very hands-on, very simple to use, and not overly technical. If you remember back to the last slide, I said we are supposed to be coming up with solutions to the pain points on the call. It just makes you seem like more of a subject matter expert. So initially, when she said slow manual response time and struggling to keep track of bookings, I instantly thought a speed to lead system and some sort of CRM that will, once an inquiry comes in, it responds to them and logs them into her CRM. And then as for the reminders for the final payments and the needing a way to track delivery deadlines, I also thought of a way that I can incorporate that into her CRM that automatically just sends the client based on when the photos are, or when the photo session is, and then what the current date is, and just sends them an email saying, hey, with her Venmo link, this is when your photos are due, or this is when the payment is due, and then also something that says, hey, your photo shoot photos for this person is due now, or due in 1 week. So ultimately, she liked us, we liked her, we wanted to work together, and then we had some clarity after the call. We scoped, basically saying we defined the pain points. We brought up some systems that we think that we can incorporate that would get her the results she wants. The next step is mapping out the system, the deliverables, onboarding her, and then starting the building process. This is where the delivery of the system begins. Once we jump off the discovery call, the first thing we do is send over our contract and invoice email. Okay. The reason why we send over our contract and payment invoice first over everything is because we want to make sure that once we've agreed on discovery call on our scope and deliverables, we want to make sure that there's no scope creep. Scope creep being, let's say we start building out this project, we haven't collected payment yet, and our client starts to demand things that weren't necessarily agreed upon on our call. We don't want that to happen. We want to be directly honed in on exactly what we both agreed upon. So that's why we send over our contract and invoice first. So you can see here, we send over our contract, we insert the link, and then we also sent her the invoice, which is just a link to our Stripe. So we receive payment and the signed contract. We then send over our onboarding form plus kickoff call. So the subject is basically saying, hey, this is the onboarding form kickoff call. Hi, first name, client name, welcome, officially aboard. The next step is to set up your project foundation. So this is what we need from them to then start building out the project. Then we need them to complete the onboarding form. So we just send over the link, which I'll show you guys the onboarding form created for our clients. Basically, this form just captures the key details about the business goals, basically so we can just have something in writing to reference back to when we are building out their systems. The next thing is the kickoff call. Once the form is submitted, we are going to send them a personalized or set up a personalized client dashboard and send you a link to book your kickoff call. During the kickoff call, and the purpose of the kickoff call is to get access to all the remaining information we need just to confirm everything, review the roadmap with them, the timelines and everything like that, and also align on immediate priorities and then talk about next step. Basically just giving the client a very welcome and professional white glove experience to make them feel like, hey, they are really taking the time to make this a very pleasant experience for the client. The client experience is everything, so we try to make it as professional, smooth, and easy as possible, while also maintaining the very good communication between us and the client with everything that's happening. So for the sake of privacy for my actual client, I'm not going to show their client dashboard because there's information that are sensitive to them and us. But I am going to show you a template. This is the client dashboard that we use for all of our clients, or the template that we use that then eventually gets repurposed for them. So when they open up their client dashboard, they're going to see our logo. It's going to say client dashboard. Welcome to your onboarding hub, their first name. This space keeps everything simple and all in one place. So the first thing we're going to look at is the roadmap that we build for them. So what this is going to have is once we go on to or after we conclude our onboarding call, or our discovery call, and we talk about deliverables and we scope the project, the timelines, and we agree on everything, that then will get populated into their roadmap in their dashboard. So that way they can see what part of the process that we as their builders or AI partners are in. So if they want to see what the status is of their project, they can check and see, okay, they just finished day 4 and 5. They just finished up the message and routing. Or, oh man, it's past day 10 and they haven't figured out, or they haven't finished the day 8 to 10 stuff. Let me message them and figure out what's going on, just to kind of give them a clear idea on what part of the process we are in. And then this is the thing that we send over to them, if you remember, in the onboarding email. Basically, this is just our very simple onboarding form. We get their main contact information, their website URL, contact email, phone number, the platforms that they use to build their website, how their leads currently submit inquiries, do they currently have a CRM, from which email address should the responses be sent to. Basically everything that we need to know in writing that we can reference back to when we're building the system, because when you're juggling multiple clients at once, it's easy to get mixed up. So we can just go back into their dashboard, review some of the information, and make sure that the project is completely tailored to their needs. Then we also give the option to have recorded meetings in there. That way they can also look back and review things that we talked about, and we can also look back and review as well. It just adds a little bit of protection layer for either one of us, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Then the signed contract, after they signed the first email that had the contract and the invoice, also gets populated into their client dashboard as well. The last thing is support. If they need immediate support, we have the point of contact and our support email, but we also create a Slack channel for them as well that they can directly message with us as well. So no problem at all. We also provide like weekly reports where we can come in and also talk about tasks and just any responses, notes, and everything that's been going on. They can see it right here as well. That way they don't have to go into the roadmap. They can see it right here as well. And then any meetings we have scheduled with them as well, they can come into their meeting calendar and say, oh, I forgot we have a scheduled meeting to talk about this part of the project on the 21st. So really cool, really hands-on, white glove, tailored client experience. We want to make sure that when we're bringing them into our business and we're forming a partnership, that it is a very pleasant and smooth experience for the client. All right, guys, on to the actual system that we built and delivered to solve the client's pain points. So you probably could have guessed what the first one was, and it was their first pain point, which was their ability to reply to new inquiries in a timely manner. We call it the speed to lead system. Now let me show you what it does. So whenever someone goes on her website and fills out a form, she receives an email with all the fields from the form. So basically all the inquiries, important information. So for us to be able to capture it, we have a Gmail trigger that just watches her email. But we don't want to push any email through this. So we have our two routing nodes here. And what they do is they make sure that the from is from PixieSet, which is the form or the website that hosts her form. And then if it's from PixieSet, we also want to make sure that the subject is form submission because all of the form inquiries that get sent to her email have the subject form submission. We then are going to push each of these fields, so all of the inquirers information, into a custom JSON code node. All it's going to do is separate the information. So each field from the form is going to have its each key, and then the value is going to be the response. So that way it'll have each individual key and value. After that, we're going to capture the lead. So we're just going to update the lead into the front end, which if you remember, the client's second pain point was their organization. So we built them a front end CRM in Airtable. Let me show you that. So here is the Airtable that we built them, their CRM. It has 3 different tables. We have website inquiries. So this is going to be when someone fills out a form on her website, they're going to get captured here. So whenever someone fills out a form, we just mapped out these fields, their name, the status is going to be new, their email, the package that they want, the desired date for their session, and then the location that they want their session at. So if we hop back over to her website inquiries base here, you can see that we have those fields mapped out. Now, only inquiries that come in from the website form will get automatically captured here. Now, let's say she books a session through Instagram DMs or TikTok DMs. She will manually have to go into the booked clients table, or she can add them here, and then before she books them, she can mark them as booked. But most likely, she's going to wait till those ones are booked and then put their information in here manually, and then the rest of the system will work, and I'll display that later. But just focusing on the speed to lead, it then will notify her that a new inquiry has come in. So it'll say new inquiry to her Telegram app that I set her up with. It'll give their name, the session type, location, and then the date that they're requesting. And then most importantly of all, we're going to extract their first names. That way we can send them a personalized email in that speed to lead time frame, which is under 5 minutes. This system does it actually within 30 seconds. The email that they will receive is subject, hey, first name, just received your inquiry. And then, hey, first name, thanks for the whatever package they want. Thanks for inquiring for the whatever package. I will be reaching out via text from my personal line and then her phone number to go over some details. All right, the second system we built is the photo due date automatic calculator. Now, this is going to play into the other pain points you had, which is the payment reminders and then the internal photos due reminders. But let me just show you how this one works. So what's going to happen is we have an Airtable trigger that is watching the booked right here, the booked table. So what happens is whenever she marks one of these as booked, it will delete this lead from here and it will move them over to booked clients. Or if she just manually puts them in herself, she can put this to need to confirm details. It'll automatically populate. The reason we have need to confirm details as the status is because we want to make sure that we have the correct package that they signed for, the correct session date that they signed for. We want to make sure those two things are correct because that's how we're going to calculate our photos due. So this trigger is going to watch trigger field status. So whenever status gets moved from need confirmed details to upcoming, meaning that she has confirmed the details and the session is officially upcoming, it will then trigger this workflow. That lead gets pushed in through here into a set node, which we are then just mapping the important information that we need to calculate the session due date. We have record ID, package status, payment status, session date, and if we've sent the reminder or not. We then want to filter out every single thing that comes through that is not an upcoming session, and if we have not sent and if we already have sent the reminder. That's why this is set to no. So if it meets the requirements, it gets routed to 7 different routes. The reason why we send it to 7 different routes is because if you look on her form, the choose your package section has 7 different packages, and each package has a different due date. So if we look at the routing criteria here, we have mini, standard, jumbo, the intimate, the classic, and the keepsake. All that's going to matter is if you see here, when it comes through, we're going to be getting the package type here. So we have the package right here. And then just whatever the package it is, it will get routed down that route to calculate the due date for that specific package. So let's say, for example, it was a mini session. Her due date is 3 weeks from the session date. So all we do is we have date and time nodes that have the add to a date, and it's just adding the amount of time that she has to send out the final photos per whatever session it is. Once that is calculated, that is now the photo's due date. So that gets updated into her Airtable. So that will populate here as soon as the lead hits here automatically. Now you might be asking what this calculate due date button is. Let me show you. All I did was copy this system and just change the trigger. It's the same exact system, but the reason why I added it with a webhook is, let's say she realizes she accidentally put the wrong session date or the wrong time, or the client and her had a conversation and they changed it. Well, this photo's due date is going to change then because the session date changed. The photos are due from the day the pictures were taken. So all she has to do is click this button here. It triggers and does the exact same thing that this one did, and it just recalculates when the photos are due. And the next system we built was to solve her issue with clients not paying on time. So this is the final payment reminder for the client. Now, if you remember, the first half of the payment is due upon contract signing, and then the next half of the payment is due 24 hours, no later than 24 hours prior to the session. So this system gets triggered by a schedule, and every 30 minutes it is going to run. Now, what happens every 30 minutes is we have an Airtable node here that is going to search all the records in the booked clients table, but they have to meet this criteria. The criteria is the status is upcoming, meaning the session is still coming up, and we have not sent the reminder yet, so that is marked to no. So after the lead meets those criteria and it is a lead that needs the reminder and it's still upcoming, we need to get the time between now, meaning it's just a quick JSON expression that gets the current date, time, hour, minute, and it gets the time between the end date or when the session is, okay? So it gets the time between today and when the session is. This payment reminder is supposed to be sent 24 hours or less in advance. So we need to make sure that the time difference in days is less than 1. If it's less than 1, we just grab their first name again, and then we send them an email just kindly reminding them that, hey, your final payment is due. So all the subject is final payment due today for your session. Hi, first name, friendly reminder, your final payment for tomorrow's session is due today. You can pay it via Apple Pay or Venmo, and then we have her Venmo link here, and then we have her phone number for the Apple Pay. Once the reminder is sent, we then will update the reminder sent field. If you look here in the book table, it then gets set to yes. The reason we set it to yes after we send the payment reminder is we also want her to know that they were reminded, and then we also don't want that same lead to come through if when this node checks every 10 minutes. You remember the schedule node here checks every 10 minutes. Or 30 minutes, excuse me. We don't want that same lead to keep getting the same reminder, so we just mark it as yes, the reminder has been sent. A little tiny workflow we built here just to keep things clean as well. It's just an Airtable trigger that watches the status, and it just filters out if the field is equal to booked, and then if it is, it waits, and then it just deletes it from the inquiry. So if she marks one of these leads as booked, it will just delete this one, and if you remember, it automatically creates this one. We don't want to have, once she keeps it booked here, we don't want this lead to stay here and also stay here as well. We don't want any duplicates. Now, when we were on the call, she expressed to us that it would be helpful if she could get a 1-week due date reminder and then a 24-hour reminder. Once again, this system we built runs on a trigger, so every single 10 minutes it is going to search records in the booked clients table, and it needs to have this criteria for it to be eligible to send her a reminder text. The status has to be equal to done, meaning the session has completed, it is not upcoming, and or one of these two things. The 1-week reminder has to equal no, meaning she hasn't received a 1-week reminder, or 24-hour reminder equals no as well, or just by itself, meaning she hasn't received the 24-hour reminder for that client. We then push that record, if it meets that criteria, through a custom JSON node. And what this JSON node does is it gets the current day, time, minute, hour, just like that other one did. And it takes the minutes until the photos are due, and it basically outputs if she's due for a weekly reminder or a 24-hour reminder. Now, this need week and this need 24-hour, they have criteria to meet. So if you can see here, it calculates the minutes until, and if the minutes until are 7 days or 24 hours, it has to be between 7 days and 25 hours, that equals she's due for a weekly reminder for that client. If it's 24 hours or below, that's how long the minutes are until the photos are due. She then gets marked as need 24-hour, and this gets output as true. And then once we have the due date, all we do is just run it through this custom JSON node. It makes the date look pretty, and it also converts it to America Phoenix, which is the time zone that she's on. And just to ensure that she gets the correct reminder, we run it through a couple pathways here, if nodes. The first one is just saying, hey, if the need week was outputted as true by the custom JSON node and the 1 week reminder is equal to no, meaning we have not sent it yet, then that means it's time to send the 1 week reminder. All the 1 week reminder says that's getting sent to her is, hey, the gallery for, and then their first name is due in 1 week, and then it just reminds her of the due date. Now, if it doesn't meet this criteria, then it gets put into another routing node, which basically says, okay, well, is the 24-hour reminder, has it been sent yet? If it's no, and the 24-hour is equal to true, then she's due for the 24-hour text reminder. All this text reminder says is, hey, final reminder for the first name. The gallery for the first name is due in 24 hours, and then just sends the due date. Make sure final edits are ready to be delivered. All right, guys, that wraps it up. I hope you guys now understand how we as an agency onboard our clients. I hope you can put that into your own agency and just make the client experience very professional and very smooth. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I post build tutorials and more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.